Hey everyone, welcome back to the Live Out Love podcast. Today I'm here with my friend Emma Sullivan.
Hey.
You guys have probably seen Emma if you've listened to my older episodes. Me and Emma went to high school together. Well, just my senior year and her senior year technically. She graduated early. She's really smart. And then we recorded one I think last year and she traveled to like Israel and stuff, so I really wanted to interview about that and just stuff that the Lord's been just working in her life. So if you guys haven't listened to that episode, go back and listen to it. It's amazing. I'll link it below. But today me and Emma just really want to talk about gratitude and what it means to just be content and present in the life of in your life right now. And I think that's something that I've been really working on. And I know when I had my conversation with Emma like a week ago, like 3 days ago,
Mhm.
um, she was saying like how she was feeling like the same thing when it came to gratitude and just being thankful for different things. And so I just was like, hey, let's just record an episode because I feel like if that's something that we're working on, then I wonder how many other people are working on that too. And we can be encouragement to others listening. So before we start, I kind of wanted to do a little biography of Emma. Emma, you can jump in too.
Okay.
But so Emma, you're originally from Pennsylvania?
I was born in South Carolina.
Okay, in South Carolina.
And then I moved around a lot. I lived in Wisconsin,
Mhm.
Georgia, and then Pennsylvania for a little bit.
That's
And then I moved back to South Carolina, I want to say 4 or 5 years ago.
mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and then Emma, what did you do? So me and Emma are the same age, but Emma did a different like college program, freshman and sophomore year, right?
Mhm.
Or freshman year,
Yeah,
kind of.
freshman and sophomore
So
technically.
yeah, if you want, you can tell them about that too. So
Yeah. So I did a gap year program called One Life. Um, and it's a 9-month discipleship program. And yeah, you just learn a lot about worldview, and a lot about the Christian faith. And you're put in with about like 30 some other students. Um, and you live with them, you travel. We went to Israel, um, had a lot of different trips, and just learn more about God. And I think it's a good way right out of high school
yeah.
to kind of make your faith your own, before you go straight into college. So I found it really helpful. And then this past year, I did the second year program of it, which was mainly a business focused program. So we like started a small business, learned a lot about the different facets of business, and that kind of stuff. But yeah, this
And
upcoming year, I'm going to Anderson University though.
yes, so if you're an Anderson student, DM Emma. She would love to meet you. And I hopefully will come visit Anderson because I've never been. So maybe that you're there, I'll be like, hey
Yeah.
Emma, let's hang out. But yeah, so Emma, when she was telling me about her second year program, I thought it was so cool because like so you made a coffee shop, right? This is
Yes.
my favorite thing that you've ever told
Yeah.
me about. So tell us
Yeah.
about the coffee shop.
So the coffee shop, yeah, it's just like a little kind more like a shack rather than a shop.
Mhm.
But we the gap year program was on a camp technically. And so they just wanted somebody to make a coffee shop to bring community in. And so yeah, I got the opportunity to do that with another girl. Um, yeah, so we did that. I also started a house cleaning business with like four other people,
That's amazing.
which was interesting. But yeah, so I learned a lot, but it
Yeah,
was
I just love that it's very like hands-on and you're like learning literally from what you're starting up of how
yeah,
to
like experiential
right.
learning.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. If I could go back, I would love to do something like that.
Hmm.
Um, but I just think that's so cool. So if anyone's interested in just if they're not sure about college or where to go, yeah, and they're still just wanting to grow closer to the Lord for their like on their own, definitely check out One Life. I heard
Hmm.
it's great, and just seeing Emma just flourish from that has been really inspiring. But yeah, enough of that. I would love to just get started of
Hmm.
just tell me about gratitude. Tell me just one, what that like word means to you, and then how you've seen that just unfold in your life. And maybe like if you struggled with that before, like tell me like your struggle with it too.
Hmm. Yeah. So, gratitude, I feel like we hear gratitude all the time. And it's just like, I don't know. We think of it as such a simple thing, and it is kind of a simple thing. But I don't know. I feel like there's a lot more depth to it and like importance in it and in our walk with the Lord. Um, and so yeah, I started to learn more about it this past fall. I was just like really struggling with contentment
Mhm.
and gratitude, um, and just like joy in general. Um, and I was just thinking about it and I was like how can I be more joyful? Like
Right.
honestly, like I was just struggling a lot with it. Um, and I mean there's so many ways, but gratitude was like a big thing for me.
Mm.
Um, and somebody told me to start a gratitude journal, which sounds like I don't know. I was like, this is dumb. I don't want to start a gratitude
I
journal.
mean, you see them, like, at Target on the
Yeah.
shelf, and this is, like,
Yeah, like
gratitude.
gratitude in cursive letters.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I did that and it actually like it helped me a lot.
Mm.
And like I would do it each night. And I found
Okay.
myself like looking forward to it and I was like, "Oh, this is actually starting to change my perspective and like go from being entitled for things or like thinking I deserve things to go
Mm.
to, oh, this is like the Lord's.
That's
And like it's a gift."
right. What did
Um,
you basically sorry, I don't wanna cut you off,
yeah.
but when you write out in your journal, what, like, would you write out? Would you just be like, "I'm thankful for so and so and so," or, like, how would you word it type?
Honestly, it was different each day, but it was just simple things.
Yeah.
Like, I think sometimes I would just be like, I couldn't think of anything, and I was like, "I'm grateful for the sun," or "I'm grateful
Mhm.
for, like, just random things during the day. Sometimes it would be people or, like, different conversations I would have with somebody that day. So yeah, it varied day to day, but
I love that.
yeah,
Keep going about just
yeah.
what you're saying, but
Um, I forget what I was saying, but I don't know. I think it's something I've been learning is just, like, taking something that, like, I feel entitled to or something that, I don't know, that gives me comfort
Mhm.
and, like, actively saying, "God, I give this to you," and, like, giving it back up to him, that creates a sense of gratitude, and,
Mm.
like, saying, "Oh, like, I'm giving this to him because it ultimately belongs to him, but
Right,
he's bestowed that on me as a gift,
right.
and so it doesn't actually belong to me." Um, so just giving things back up to God, I think, is a really good way to have gratitude and to be
Mm.
mindful of that. Um, but yeah, I just think I don't know, I think a lot of times it's easy to have gratitude when, like, everything is great and just be like, "Oh, I'm so grateful for, like, all this stuff that's going so well." But it's actually hard when you have to, like, seek that out and
Mm.
try to find gratitude instead of just, I don't know, going with where your emotions are taking you, I guess. Um, and so that's why the gratitude journal was helpful for me because I actually had to think about, okay, what am I grateful for? What has God given me? And just, yeah, be intentional more so.
Good. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think even when you're, like, talking about it, how you would just kind of be like when you're giving thanks and being grateful about it, it's like you're giving it to the Lord, and it's like, instead of that selfish desire almost of, "What can I have? What do I need?" Like, you're kinda making it so it's like you're being grateful for, like, what the Lord's giving you because like, He's providing this for you.
Mhm.
And I really love that too because I think I struggle with just, like, the selfish part of, like, I need, because we live in such a worldly a worldly perspective of things where it's like social media is just, telling us different things like products or selling, like different companies are trying to sell you on different things and you're like, oh my gosh, I want. And you just put it in such a selfish perspective and you're not really like looking else. So when you're being thankful, like you said, you're really just becoming selfless and giving it to the Lord. And that helps. Like I know, like when I'm being thankful and grateful for things, my heart posture towards others is so much more like caring and so much more like I want to help these people instead of being like, oh, I don't have time for that. I think
Yeah.
when you were telling me that too the other day, we had Chick-fil-A together, it
Mhm.
really just made me be like, she's so like Emma's so right. Like I need to start writing down what I'm grateful for just because it helps your mindset change, like you said.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. That selfless piece is like, it also ties into it really well. And just like realizing I'm not here for myself
Right.
and, like, God has given me these gifts so that I can bless others.
Right.
And just I don't know, it takes your mind off of yourself, which when your mind's on yourself, it just causes so many other
So
issues.
much.
And just, like, I don't know, it's just insane.
And
And I'm, like, not very good at that also, and I'm still learning and growing.
And it's a hard balance because it's like, one, you still wanna, like, feel good about yourself and, like, take care of yourself, but then it's like but you don't wanna just be consumed with getting the next best clothes, like, wearing that out, like, making sure I have my hair done so it's, like, how I want it, you know? So that's kinda hard too, because it's like I said before, like, living in, like, that desire of, like, what the world wants and not what the Lord wants. It's like we, like, lose the balance of it. And there
Mhm,
is such a balance, because I still struggle with that too, like, the difference.
mhm.
Sorry, do you have something to say, or
No, no,
okay.
you're
When I was little, I remember one of my mom's friends for, like, her kids' Christmas gifts that year. I remember they did, like I don't know if you've ever done this or you've seen people do it, but it's, like, 3 things that you need, 2
Oh, yes.
books, and, like, 1 thing you want, and, like, clothes, toothbrush, toothpaste, that type of thing.
Yes.
And I remember whenever I was younger and, like, my mom would tell us that we'd do that, I'd be like, "Oh, that's terrible, like, why would any kid, like, be grateful for that?" You know? And I was actually thinking about that, I think the night that after we talked, and I was, like, thinking about it now, I would be so much more grateful for only for Christmas getting the things that I really needed, like clothes or new bed sheet, something that I really need, like money for school, and I think it's I mean, as a kid, you're still growing and learning, but as you grow up into adult and, like, learning what you really believe in, like, when you are being grateful for the things the Lord's giving to you, it makes you so much more appreciative of, like, the gifts that other people are giving to you. So, like, at Christmas, like, this year, I'm like, I honestly would love to just tell my mom that, "Hey, how about we do the just give me what I really need instead of, like, the things I really desire." And,
Mhm,
like, the Lord will always provide. So, like, if you are dreaming to get that new phone, like, you eventually maybe can get the money to get it. But I
mhm,
just really like that analogy of, like, that's how the Lord works too, of, like, if we just be like, "Hey, Lord, like, only give me what I really need, like, give me food and water and stuff like that." But, like, when you're directing your heart towards Him and just, like, being with Him every day, like, He provides us so much more than we could ever imagine just because we're just having a compassionate heart towards Him. So,
mhm. Yeah, that's super good.
I
I
really
love
like
that.
that analogy.
Mhm,
But what you're saying though, going off of gratitude, I think
mm,
it also has to do with a lot of things of self-pity. Have you ever, like, dealt with self-pity before?
mhm. I yeah, I think so, and it just yeah, it does it's around selfishness,
Yeah.
um, and I don't know, it all correlates,
Yes, it does.
um, but yeah, I think I could get, like, this past fall, stuck in, like, cycles of self-pity or just, like, not being able to find joy in
Right,
things. That's been a big thing for me, just, like, feeling like, "Oh, like, how am I supposed to have joy?" Um, and I just get, like, consumed with thoughts of, like, this is awful," and I just, like, have a running list in my head of things that aren't going well,
right.
um, and it goes back to intentionally, like, putting out time to think of things that you're grateful for, like we were talking about.
Right, you're right.
But yeah, so I think, I don't know, a lot with like during the school year, I get like just annoyed at all the work and all the things that I'm doing because it's a routine.
Mhm.
So I think especially during that time, it's really important for me to just sit down and intentionally think of things that I am grateful for and that the Lord has blessed me with. Um, but yeah, so I think just intentionality has
Yeah,
been a huge thing.
that's really good. I think I've definitely had self-pity of things. An example, literally on 4th of July, I was in Maine and I was supposed to do like a fun little like I was expecting my 4th of July to be way different than how it went. And so then seeing everyone in South Carolina, like my friends doing all these different things together, and then I just sulked. and just like sat in the self-pity of like, I'm not there, like my time isn't good enough when I could have literally like been so grateful for what I was doing in the present moment and just appreciated like that I was with my family. But instead, my sulking caused like me to fight with my mom and dad, me to like be rude to my cousins, like all this stuff where I literally could have been like, okay, God, yes, I'm mad. Yes, I want to sit and sulk, but instead just giving it to him and like learning that like the world literally does not revolve around you. And that's something that I've really like had to like a hard pill to swallow because it's like, you're right, the world doesn't revolve around me. Like just because this is the plan we're doing doesn't mean like I can't still have fun even though that wasn't what I wanted to do. And that's such a worldly perspective of it. But I think a lot of people probably can relate to that of just like a lot of plans just not going the way you've seen it to be, and then you just like get mad that it's like, oh, it's not the way you like viewed it. Um, so yeah, I think that's also something too that when you write down like what you're grateful for and you learn the gratitude like given to God, like your whole mindset shifts. And I'm still working on it. I'm not perfect. I'm hoping like I'm honestly hoping something comes my way that, like, say my parents, like, ask me to, like, clean the garage or something, and, like, instead of me being mad about it, like, learning to just be like, "Okay, God, like, no, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do it with an open heart and, like, be thankful that I get to clean a garage," because who knows, like, what that would help my grandparents, help my parents with, and how, like, me just even just, like, listening and obeying to my parents could just, like, glorify the Lord too. So, just a
Yeah.
little snippet
Yeah.
of something I was learning.
Yeah, and I think, like, you were talking about planning and,
Mm,
like, your plans on 4th of July, and I think that's, like, also a big thing for me that makes me not content is, like, when because 'cause I'm a big planner, and
right,
so
me too.
when plans go awry or something happens, I, like it's hard for me to handle. Um, so I think yeah, you said that, and I was like, "Yeah, that actually, like, goes into, contentment and, like, gratitude."
Yeah,
Of just, like, that's not how the Lord wanted it to go.
right.
Um, and so I can be adaptable and I can go and, I don't know, just make the most of the situation at hand.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think that's good.
That's really good. I actually said this little quote, at this thing that I spoke at, and I put it on, like, TikTok, but, have you read the Jesus Calling? Jesus
Oh,
Calling?
the devotional?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
So I like just started getting it and I really like a lot of the things are very like wise in there. And there's this one that I took a picture of just because it just made me be like, just really just sit there and keep rereading it because it was so good.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna read it for everyone. I keep reading it, so I'm sorry if you guys have heard this in the past, but it's so good. It says, "Thank me for the very things that are troubling you. You are on the brink of rebellion, precariously close to shaking your fist in my face. You are tempted to indulge in just a little complaining about my treatment of you. But once you step over that line, torrents of rage and self-pity can sweep you away. The best protection against this indulgence is thanksgiving or gratitude. It is impossible to thank me and curse me at the same time. Thanking me for trials will feel awkward and contrived at first, but if you persist, your thankful words, prayed in faith, will eventually make a difference in your heart. Thankfulness and gratitude awakens you to my presence, which overshadows all your problems."
Hmm.
So I really that was so encouraging because it was like it's literally like saying like give thanks to God during your trials, during your hard times. Like thank him for those things because you could be learning something through anything and like thanking him is only just gonna like your heart posture is just gonna be so much better because you can't curse the Lord at the same time you're thanking him.
Mhm. Yeah.
I thought that
That's
was
really good, I like that.
kind of related to our little
Yeah, yeah. No, that's really good.
yes. Well, do you have anything else about gratitude? Do you want to add or anything?
Trying to think. I don't know, I can pull it up. I was reading Colossians,
Mhm.
the other day, and it was Colossians 3, and it was talking about, like, putting on the new self.
Mm, yeah.
And I can read a little snippet of
Okay.
it.
I love that.
Um, so yeah, it's talking about putting on the new self. Paul is talking to the Colossians.
Mm.
And it says, "And let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts, to which indeed you were called in one body. And be thankful. Let the word of Christ dwell in you richly, teaching and admonishing one another in all wisdom, singing psalms and hymns and spiritual songs with thankfulness in your hearts to God. And whatever you do, in word or deed, do everything in the name of the Lord, giving thanks to God the Father through him.
Hmm.
And I was reading that and I don't know, I thought like when the Bible repeats things, it usually means it's pretty important.
Yes.
So I thought that was just really interesting, that he mentioned having thankfulness 3 times in that little passage. I think it's like 2 or 3 verses.
Mhm.
And how Paul mentions thankfulness 3 times in that. Um, and I don't know, I thought that was just really cool because we read that a lot, like the
Right.
verses about putting on the new self.
Yes.
Um, and I just think thankfulness is something that encompasses all of the things that Paul is talking about in those verses. And I feel like it's almost the starting point to, like, having all those other things. Um, I don't know, I just thought that was really cool and really
Yeah.
important.
It's really good.
Yeah.
I wanna go back and read that whole chapter in
Mhm.
Colossians. Was
Yeah,
it
it's really
Colossians
good.
3?
What?
3? Colossians
Yeah,
3?
Colossians 3. Yeah.
Alright, I'm gonna do that. No, I really like that because,
Yeah.
like, I feel like I hear it in different clips or different
Mhm.
clips, in different, like, parts
Yeah.
of people quoting it or, like, Bible verses, but I think
Uh,
also when you read the whole chapter and, like, thinking, like, how Paul's talking to them and, like, what they're going through in that moment, it kinda, like, changes your perspective of, like, how they're being thankful during whatever time is going on there. It's like, here, we probably have it so much easier, and so why don't we be thankful too?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Aw,
uh,
well, I loved it. I love that we could record this little short clip.
yeah,
I hope anyone that is listening, you guys just hopefully just appreciate this episode about gratitude and thankfulness. And if you probably already know it, but I think even just me and Emma talking about it on here, like I know it helps me inspire like in myself honestly to just do better at appreciating even the small things. I think this summer I've told Emma this, just like kind of was annoyed at just staying home all summer, not doing fun things. And so I just would always complain about things, but now that I'm really thanking the Lord for the simplicity of this summer, I've really started to appreciate just the slow mornings, the nannying, the hanging out with my family, and like doing the little things that I probably will. This is probably my last summer to do, until I get an internship, stuff like that. So it's just a good reminder to always just appreciate where you are in the present moment and to give gratitude to the Lord.
yeah,
Yes.
love it.
Well, thank you so much, Emma, for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was really
And
good to talk.
yes, I know I'm so excited that we get episode 2 with each other.
Yes.
Maybe every year
Sounds
we do an episode together.
yes.
And we just talk about what we're growing in. I love it.
That's so funny.
All right.
Yes.
Well, I'll see you guys next week.